Test, test, check 1, 2. You know you need unique New York. You know you need unique New York. Does that sound all right? Ah, that's better. You can always tell something's missing when you get isolated results, like AI that's only right for one of your systems. Get AI that can work across your data and applications. Learn more at IBM.com. The AI built for business. IBM.
Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for the stay.
Finding a new job is stressful. But with Indeed, it doesn't have to be. Just fill out your Indeed profile with your skills, experience, and desired salary. The more you fill out, the better your matches will be. And hearing from hiring managers will be 2 times more likely. Relax. That's your Indeed profile sending opportunities your way. Indeed, the world can work better.
Mega is an improvised satire from the staff of a fictional megachurch.
We are here, Lord, we are here, and we're ready to podcast.
Hiya, I'm Halle Labont, and this is Mega, coming to you from Twin Hills Community Church, where every single week we're giving our mega church a tiny family feel. We love introducing you to members of our church staff, people from our community. I always find it to be a treat and a treasure. And per usual, I'm joined by my co-host. He's the youth pastor for our high school ministry called Climax. Please welcome Gray Haas.
Listen to my rap, because Christ and Jesus specifically is no cap, Halle. How are you?
So blessed. I am so happy to see you.
I am so pumped to be here, Halle. We are recording today in our live stream on YouTube, and we've got amazing questions and feedback from our listeners, and I cannot wait to get into it. I'm just absolutely stoked.
Well, I feel like God is doing really cool things. You know, he's really been moving on campus.
Oh,
Steve
always.
has been on fire. Lead pastor Steve has been on fire.
What
Twin
about this
Hills is
weekend?
thriving. This weekend. Goosebumps. God bumps. I got God bumps.
I mean, it is true. Steve did something that he doesn't do. You know, we've had some issues in the past with live animals, but not this weekend. Not this weekend. This weekend was awesome. We had our annual pig roast, and which was really fun. Where we just get a lot of the guys in the church get their trucks. They pull out those big barrels that they cut in half, fill it with coals, and just put big hunks of meat that look like pigs.
Guys
on there.
love
I guess
to do that.
Guys love to just put a pig on the barbie, don't they?
Feel like a man when they can pull out their big old grills.
It's so true, and I just love hanging by the grill with my bros, talking about scripture, talking about guys if you guys get guys around some hot meat, Halle, they really start to open up, don't they?
Wow, that is so cool. I never thought about it like that, but that's a way for you to stay in accountability with each other, to inspire.
So
the
true.
Bible says iron sharpens iron.
That's right. And
then
we get that iron knives out, we're kind of going, we're sharpening them up as we cut into the hot meat. It's so fun.
You're pressing on the meat to see if it's the right, what are you pressing on it
I don't
for?
know, really. I don't really like to touch it. Actually, I kind of stand to the side, but a lot of guys in our church do love to do that. I guess a dry rub. They're always saying, a dry rub. I don't enjoy really a dry rub. I guess maybe in my culture we like more of a wet rub. But it was great. And the cool thing about this weekend's pig roast was that pig, one of the pigs, was used on stage by Steve as a sermon illustration.
It was awesome. It's not preached about, very often, but the story of Jesus sending the demons into the herd of pigs that then subsequently ran right off a cliff.
Yep.
And then I don't know what happened to the demons, because sadly the pigs had to die. But, I don't think the demons, then they're probably down there trying to jump into a seal, a dolphin, something else. I guess now it's a marine problem.
We don't really get a follow-up as to where the demon went after it was cast out. But what I thought Steve did, which was an amazing sermon illustration, is he preached the word, he preached his message. We had the pig there on stage. He sort of did a little, he did a little thing like this where he cast the demons into the pig. Then we opened up the pig cage and the pig ran, and then we live streamed this, which was awesome. Even for the people at home could see it. Just a follow cam. The pig ran right through the backstage. You could see everybody working backstage right off the loading dock and into the barbecue. And that is how we kicked off the barbecue for the pig roast, and it was just awesome. Some of the people in the church, I think, were a little bit disturbed because they were like, well, you have to actually butcher it and clean it and things like that. And I was like, yes, I know, but somebody's going to do that off camera. We didn't do that on camera, but I just thought it was a good way to cut the ribbon, as it were, for the pig roast, wasn't it?
And keep in mind, you're gonna, not be so upset about it the minute you taste that pork.
Oh.
They got barbecue on it. It is fresh. It's hot. You got the smoke in the air. You got the whole experience of it. We had cornbread out there. We had baked beans.
It was
we
awesome.
Had cobbler.
And I hate it when people bring up there were a few naysayers that were going, well, some people were like, I don't want to eat a pig that was symbolically once a demon. I said it was for sermon illustration. Other people said Jesus didn't eat pig. I would say, well, you don't know.
Probably only because they didn't have bacon back then.
Right.
But if they had, he would have eaten it.
Exactly.
Trust me.
So that was really cool. It was really, really
It was
cool.
awesome. And I think it makes me feel so proud to be a part of a community of people who demand excellence, not only in the food that they get in a parking lot, but the program that they get in a main stage auditorium. It
was awesome.
It was awesome. And it makes me so proud to be a part of this community.
I did hear a weird screaming sound. And I guess that was the pig being, ultimately taken apart to put on the back. And I said, I didn't know pigs screamed. I didn't know it.
Yeah, they can really they can holler. They can put up a frightful sound.
Yeah, pigs are smarter than dogs. I was like, no, they're not. Clearly this one was, and he just ran into a barbecue.
Well, you know what? They're tastier than dogs.
Yeah.
And again, I just say, if you're having any sentimental kind of vegetarian type feelings when you see a pig on a spit, roasting over an open fire, again, I just invite you to smell. The inviting smell is going to change your mind. And then get in line, get a styrofoam plate, and just get that onto a hot bun.
You're right. I don't like to see it. I like to eat it.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Are you still quoting 30-year-old movies? Have you said cool beans in the past 90 days? Do you think Discover isn't widely accepted? If this sounds like you're stuck in the past. Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. And every time you make a purchase with your card, you automatically earn cash back. Welcome to the now. It pays to Discover. Learn more at discover.com/credit card. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
Well, that's what my daughter's always telling me.
Oh, really?
The
Which
one
daughter?
who has a licensed welding business now.
Oh, a business. She opened a business.
She opened a business.
Really?
She's got
What
an
is she welding?
entrepreneurial spirit.
Is that this whole Etsy store she's opened?
Yep, she's got an Etsy store. It's all metal works. She does art installations. She does jewelry.
She does welded jewelry.
She's adorning
heavy,
her
isn't
friend
it?
Brandy in all this original jewelry. But she's also, she goes over to PETA and she protests places.
Oh, the gyro place?
That's a good gyro place.
Oh,
I
is.
love getting
It's
extra
so
yogurt on that.
It's
I
so
feel
good.
like it's, gyros are lamb meat, and that feels like a real biblical
It feels
lunch.
Christian, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But you're talking about the animals place.
Right.
But I'm sorry, just to go back, what is she's welding things for Brandy? Is that why I saw them together and Brandy was wearing kind of a, what you call that, chainmail?
It was full chainmail. It was a full-length dress of chainmail.
And she could barely walk because she's just a wisp of a thing.
Pounds.
I know.
Yeah, they're...
And I noticed your daughter was carrying a kind of like,
the way a husband would carry a bride over a threshold.
I know.
And it was because, Brandy could hardly walk. She's a wisp of a girl, and that was a heavy, heavy chainmail. Any hoodles. My daughter, she's been protesting, the way that, chickens are on semi-trucks and all this stuff. She's worried about the experience of the animals. She wants to be a vegan. I won't have it in my house.
Right.
I had some pork chops thawing on the countertop this week. Came back in to throw them in the oven or to throw them in I wanted to put them into a freezer bag that had some OJ barbecue sauce.
Okay.
Just marinating them a little bit.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find them to put in the marinade. And I says to my daughter, who's there with Brandy, they're spraying each other with the sprinkler in the backyard because it's still been warm this week. And
so you were leaving you were leaving pork chops out on the countertop and during this sort of like warm weather that we've been having.
Yeah, well, they were frozen. I was having them thaw at room temperature,
so I could
careful
of that,
throw
I
them
think,
in a
Halle.
marinade. Any hoodles. Couldn't find them. Turns out my daughter had buried them in the backyard. She said, "Mom, I saw a dead body on the counter, and that's what you do with a dead body is you bury it in the yard." So I had to go find where she buried it, dig it up, rinse the dirt off of it,
Oh, why
throw
didn't she
it
just
in
keep
that
it in the
marinade.
plastic bag? She dumped it out of the marinade?
I hadn't put it in the marinade
I see.
yet. So luckily, I was
I'm
able
sorry.
to clean the dirt off it pretty easily.
Oh, you still used them.
Oh yeah, I got the dirt off the pork chops, threw it in the marinade, and then it was delicious. I had to have, I'm having pork chops because Lance is out of town. My husband, Lance Levant,
where is he?
Can't have animal protein. He's on a work trip, which he does. He gets to go to Ventura County, California, every
interesting.
year at this same time for a conference.
What is it that he does again?
He's in importing, exporting. He does marketing, management, and advertising for, different campaigns with companies selling, buying and selling goods and services in an exchange. And he loves it. He loves his job. He's got lots of friends.
That does sound fun.
Yeah, he's up at the crack of dawn and out the door, so I figure, he enjoys it.
Yeah.
But anyway, my daughter's I got protesting happening inside my house. I covet your prayers. I ask that you put me on the top of your prayer list because as soon as my husband's out of the house, then I want to eat all the things I can't eat, like pepperoni pizza, when he is in the house.
Oh, I see.
And I don't need my kids giving me more guff.
Yeah. Well, I do think that that is a challenge, Halle, and I think you are doing the Lord's work all the time, both here at Twin Hills and at in your house with being a mother, being a homemaker. And those are challenges, especially when your daughter takes you dinner and buries it in the yard like a dead body.
And, I've been worried about Day because...
Oh, why?
He has a new... a friend who's a girl. I don't want to call it a girlfriend because I don't know that he's using that word yet. And I'm going to wait and, see what he says about it. It seems like
I wouldn't call her I wouldn't call her this lady, whoever she is, a lady friend, until you find out, is she marriage material? Because then you can tell him, hey, your girlfriend is marriage material. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
Right now, just keep it friend zone.
Yep.
Friend zone.
Yep. And I'm glad he's keeping it just a friend right now, because she makes me nervous. He smells faintly of, I would say, like a incense.
Oh no!
Real weird. She has
Is she Catholic?
Like crystals,
Oh, maybe not.
And a little too much crystal rock, stuff
Oh,
in her
she's
jewelry
drug
and
addict?
necklaces and stuff. Which just makes me real nervous. They spend a lot of time together. I feel like maybe she's Wiccan or something. Like she's messing around with spells.
I've seen it.
Spells.
I've seen it half a dozen times on Broadway, and to be honest, it's just every time I go and I'm going, what is it about this thing that people are so into? Because, I'm not sure if I mentioned it before, but my friend Clay Mason Bannerman and I do go to Broadway shows, and it's mostly to critique them, because they're not the old classic Broadway is the best stuff. The new stuff is basically like watching a movie on stage, so it's not that good. And the whole Wiccan musical thing, I'm just like, okay, there's a good one, there's a bad one, and it's a sequel to a movie that, frankly, I love Judy Garland, but I never really thought that was her best work. If I'm going to watch Judy Garland, I'm going to watch Babes in Arms, which is truly, truly magic. That is Hollywood magic. So I just didn't really understand the whole Wiccan, the musical thing. Do you know what I mean? I
think so. I think you and Clay are godly examples of upright men out there in the world. I think you're gonna, the more you get into, if you like things like Broadway musicals, you're such marriage material. I mean, women are gonna be throwing themselves at you, because that's what girls want, is somebody who's gonna do stuff like that with them.
Halle, this is why, and I hate to bring her up now because she's not doing great, but my ex, Jen Hatmaker, that's how we originally really connected, was we both like Waitress. And, she is...
I think that's her story of how she met her current boyfriend, Tyler.
Oh, does she? Oh, yeah. I don't know. Anyway, but, she was always going, take me to a musical. And I'm going, well, if I'm going to take you to a musical, I'm going to be totally honest about my opinion about the musical. And I would say 8 out of 10 times the musicals weren't great, even though I have seen Wiccan several times just to make sure it's not great.
I bet your reviews of a musical are really awesome. I bet they're spot on.
Oh, sometimes I'll give them during the musical.
Oh, cool.
I mean,
so that people know how you feel as it goes?
Or at least Clay, and I'll just go, didn't hit the high note. Or a lot of times I'll just, things like that. And he'll know, well, we'll have to leave at intermission.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you feel like there are a lot of God-honoring things happening in the Broadway space lately?
Well, like I said, Halle, Broadway is...
They brought back Oklahoma a few years ago. That one is wholesome.
Yeah, I like Oklahoma. Clay and I went and saw the tour. Clay and I went and saw the tour of Oklahoma. It was non-equity tour of Oklahoma, and it was completely garbage.
Is that right?
I mean, if you can't see anything, even though I don't really like unions, once you go non-equity with acting, it gets a bit dicey. And of course, we came home. And I know he's just this is a problem, but Clay has this neighbor, Donovan Geo, that's actually when we first met him, because we were both wearing a matching Oklahoma the Broadway tour musical sweatshirts, and that's when Donovan Geo first said his classic catchphrase, which isn't classic. Cowboy bats drive me nuts.
Oh, no.
And I was like, what in the... That was the first words he said to us when he met us. And
Cowboy butts drive me nuts?
Yes.
It grieves the heart of God.
Anyway, so that was the first time I met Donovan Geo, and it was, from there, it was a downhill slide just to mediocrity and annoyance.
Well, I heard Popsicles down in the children's ministry singing Grease at the top of his lungs. And I said, you know what? I don't even have to ask. I know that Donovan Gio showed that movie about high school kids wanting to have sex.
Oh, it's a High School Musical about abortion, Halle. That's what it is.
It grieves the heart of God. And
between
Popsicles,
that and Dirty Dancing, those are the two that Donovan Gio has all the time. And I said, hey, Clay, this is your son, and this is not positive. And if you want him watching a movie about an abortion and a play about an abortion, good luck, bud. Good luck, bud. And so, yeah, that's the other thing is Popsicles now I'll say something and it'll be interesting because I have a lot of interesting things to say.
That's true.
And then Popsicles will be like, tell me more. And it's a weird paradox because I do tell him more and then he'll say, tell me more. Oh. And I didn't realize that was some catchphrase from the Abortion the Musical.
It's his new catchphrase, tell me more,
and I thought he was just being interested in what I had to say.
Well, he probably was, but also doing his catchphrase. And you were telling him more.
I tried.
It worked in the context of the interaction. I mean, I think that's a solid, I don't know, what do you call yourself? A stepdad?
No. I am definitely not a stepdad, Halle. I am I would call myself an advisor, a parental advisor. That's just like I am to all my Climax teens and their parents.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so it was just it's just been a circus around our place because, well, and I know that I have mentioned him before in this episode, but my friend Clay Mason Bannerman and I were dating these awesome ladies,
Tiffer and Mickey and Tiff.
And this is fun, Halle. Tiffer got this really cool new hairpiece. It's a little pink streak that she got in the front. It's really cool. And she said it's for breast cancer awareness.
Awesome.
And, as much as I think breast cancer awareness is worth pointing out.
Very important.
I think it also is important for Christian men not to focus too much on it.
Oh,
because
good point.
Look at the first part of that phrase. What is it?
Yep. It's breast.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And, breast is mentioned.
It causes a man to stumble. It really does.
Once in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And it's,
pomegranates.
Yeah. And you cannot, and it may be sometimes compared to fawns inside a shirt or something like that.
I don't even eat pomegranates because of that, because I don't want to be sick.
Yeah.
And that would be sick.
And so, but it was cool that Tifa got this cool little pink thing in her hair. Cool. And I was like, okay, this is awesome because, sometimes they're not in the same place at the same time. In fact, all the time. And so sometimes it was hard for Clay and I really to determine if Tiffer and Mickey were different. And now we have this proven way because it's like Tiffer's got the pink streak, Mickey doesn't.
Oh, so they're different.
Well, then a thing happened, Halle, because it was a clip-on hairpiece.
Dang it.
And then Tifa came over and she was wearing it just in a different place on her head. She was kind of wearing it like a rat tail.
But you knew it was still your girl, Tiffer.
I don't.
Because you don't want it to be CMB's girl, Mickey.
Right. And then, of course, we've got Bobby Lou and,
I see her all the time because she's still working the host stand at Don Protini.
Well, and she won't wear it because she doesn't believe in breast cancer awareness.
Oh, she doesn't believe it exists?
Right.
Oh.
So that's the thing is... I kept thinking we could tell them apart by the locket that they wear.
Oh.
Because they wear a sister's locket.
Okay.
And this, it's a heart that has...
been broken into three.
And it says sis, ter on it.
Uh-huh.
But then this is the other problem, Halle, is that they both work... They both have the right side of the locket.
Oh.
Because they said they lost the other piece or something. Oh. So it just says sis, and then Bobby Lou is like, well, I'm a triplet. They actually technically are triplets, the twins that were sharing a womb with a third sister. And I don't want to get into the details of it, but basically it has been awesome to have the ladies back in our lives. And I wouldn't say we are dating. We're not saying we're saying lady friend, we're not saying girlfriend because we're not sure if they're marriage material.
Well,
and they're basically the same, right, Halle? So Clay and I have talked a lot about this, which is, hey, when you know, tell me. When you know, tell me, because there's a really good chance that that's when I'll know too, that they are marriage material.
Vitamin Water Zero Sugar has great taste, zero BS, and obviously zero sugar. For those with zero room in their calendar, zero patience for slow walkers, those who get 0 hours of sleep on a Saturday night, have zero filter, zero given, and zero interest in grabbing a plain, boring water. Grab a delicious Vitamin Water Zero Sugar today.
McCrispy strips are now at McDonald's. I hope you're ready for the most dippable chicken in McDonald's history. Dip it in all the sauces. Dip it in that hot sauce in your bag. Dip it in your McFlurry. Your dip is your business. McCrispy strips at McDonald's.
It's so important that anyone you meet, if you are not married, you need to consider whether or not they're marriage material. Because if they're not, do not waste your time on them. Don't go down that road. No. I mean, this girl that Day is hanging out with, I, of course, am already looking at her like, is this girl marriage material? But I'll tell you this right now. Her last name is Knight. And Day has always said that he's going to take the name of the woman that he marries, at which
What?
I don't.
Is that even legal? Probably
not. So he's got some idea in his head. And I'm like, well, then what are your kids' last name going to be? They're supposed to be named after you, which is Labont. But if he changes his name to Knight, then his name is Day Knight. And then he has these kids who are basically, I think, like illegitimate kids because you can't even give them their father's name.
And how do you pass down property? I bet my HOA wouldn't even allow that.
See, this is why kids think they're being cute. They're like, we can change the rules. We can change our names. We can do whatever we want, and guess what? If you're a girl, the day you're born, you get named after the man who sired you. And the day you get married, you can switch from being named after the first guy to being named after the second guy.
That's right.
Those are your options. Again, that's why I say we're the pro-choice party. We got options.
Halle, I'm just thinking about this little Broadway lady that Day is dating, and I'm wondering, is she Christian?
I mean, I haven't asked her directly. I'm gonna need to.
Yeah, that's probably a dinner table conversation on the first time she comes over. But I'm just thinking kind of big picture because I've been irritated with Day lately because he keeps doing duets with me on TikTok. Have you heard about this? Do you know what a duet is on TikTok?
What's this?
Well, I've been doing these awesome little mini sermons on TikTok where I just rap about Christ. I get into a story, and then I basically do a TikTok-based altar call where I can save people much more quickly than if they were, in person. And Day keeps doing duets with me where he sort of does his little thing where he goes through and says, but what about this? And this isn't accurate. And, oh, you got to look at this in a larger context and stuff like that. And I'm going, guess what? And it's annoying because it's kind of like he's starting to get some clout. And I'm saying, first off, you're clout chasing because those are my TikToks that you are sort of parasitically jumping onto. You're kind of like one of those fish that like sticks to the shark. And I just keep saying, and I'll duet back, which I guess is like a what would that be called if you two people doing a duet, but then the other person joins? Maybe like a group,
trio?
Yeah, a group sing, a trio or something. I oftentimes will duet back and say, context, I'll give you context. The context is God created everything, right?
Awesome.
So you can't take something out of context when the context is God.
Wow. Yeah.
It blew minds, Halle.
Awesome.
And I got a really nice message from one of my teens who comes to Climax. His name is Percival Cornelius. And he just said, Gray, the way you break it down is so awesome. It's just so awesome to watch you take it to this teenager who doesn't know what he's talking about. And so I know, Halle, I'm sorry, but I've just had to destroy him every time with that argument. I just come back and say, God is the context. So you can't, it's a paradox, isn't it? You can't take something out of something that it is already.
That is awesome.
It's awesome.
And you can't argue with that.
No, you can't argue with it. And well, then he does. He tries to, and then I just don't do it back.
Well, do I need to take his iPhone away, or
probably
I could put on some more parental controls so that he's not able to harangue you and harass you on TikTok?
Well, yeah, actually, I did find a good recipe for harangue the other day that doesn't have any sugar.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
did you try it?
Yeah, it's just you just whip a bunch of egg whites and you put squeeze a lemon into it.
None of the stuff I make from TikTok turns out the way they do. They, in like 4 quick frames. You got an avocado, it's smashed, it's now crunchy, you're dipping it in something delicious. I try to do that and I end up with all this soft, tasteless mush.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, cooking is not really my thing, but I do like TikTok cooking videos where it's just like, here's how you make something in 3 minutes that has a lot of protein. And I will do those. And a lot of times it's either in the air fryer or the bullet blender.
Well, when I feel like I need protein, I just head out to Don Proteinis, where every single thing on the menu is made from protein. The sauces, the salads, the pastas, the meats, the meatballs, the sausages, the veggies. The nuts, everything there is made out of protein. It is so cool.
Oh, I love Don Proteinis, but yeah, we can't.
Desserts, the cakes, the cookies.
It gets a little awkward though when we go there because,
cheesecakes.
Yeah, it's just because my stalker used to work there, and then of course now Babby Lou works there, and it's just like it's one of those things where I see her there, and then I'm like, well, see you tonight, because she's always over at Donovan Gio's house.
Well, I think she's dating Donovan Gio.
I don't know, Halle. He says they're open.
Is that right?
He says I'm open, and I'm like, open to what?
Oh, it sounds like he's open to dating her.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, if you're gonna date her, date her.
Yeah. Well,
but then he's got his nephew over there a lot of times, Polycules, and that kid is just a nightmare because he's like, who is my mom? Who is my dad? I don't know.
Who is Polycules' parents?
Well, as far as I know, it's Donovan's nephew, but even the nephew is going, I don't know who my dad is. I don't know who my mom is.
That's what happens when people start sleeping around. You don't even know who your parents are. You could be dating your sibling. You know what I mean? This is why God wants to keep sex inside a marriage. People are out there. They say that one child in every family in America is from a different father.
Oh, isn't that true?
And it grieves the heart of God.
It's true.
It really does. But I don't know, between Popsicles and Polycules, I'm going to put you on the top of my prayer list. I really am. And I know you're really busy. I know that the main stage services call on the Climax community a lot during October because we got so many harvest festivals and hell houses. And we have so many things, and the kids get so involved. And
it's been great because we've had so much help though, because I like to employ the Climax teens to help build sets, help set up for the Harvest Festival, do all that stuff. We were a little short-staffed this year, and we just said, hey, we put a call out for volunteers, and then really what we did is we went during services to the Spanish language ministry, and we just said, hey guys, we're not going to do the Spanish language ministry today because we need hands out here helping us set up the hay ride, the hay bale, the hay bales that we put around, the pumpkins. We needed somebody to pick the pumpkins, and then we also needed somebody to kind of run the barbecue, because a lot of the guys own barbecues, but they actually don't really like to use them. So we just got the Spanish language ministry to come, and that was awesome. They were so hardworking, and it helped us set up everything that we need to set up to, put on the type of programming that we need.
It has been so festive around here. I've been bringing my kids to everything, and it was great to have the extra hands, to make the campus really feel festive.
Oh, I love it.
And,
I love it.
And I love the harvest season. There's so many illustrations that you can draw to biblical truths.
Oh, I know. And what was another thing Day said, where he was like, we technically don't have a harvest season anymore because you can eat strawberries all year round. And I was like, what are you even talking about? And he said, he said, because of the global economy, the strawberries that you want to eat in the middle of January aren't from Indiana. They're from Peru or something. And I said, Day, you don't have to ruin everything. Now you're going to ruin the harvest. He's actually trying to ruin the harvest. And I said that to him in a TikTok duet.
Well, the kids, they act like it's a bad thing that you can get whatever you want, whenever you want, however you want. I can have fresh strawberries delivered to my front door in a matter of minutes, if that's what I feel like eating, whether it's February in Indiana or not.
That's right.
And they act like that's a bad thing.
Oh,
and
I know.
I'm so confused. Like my daughter, the one who's out protesting at PETA with the PETA folks or whatever, she acts like a Shake Shack burger is a bad thing. A Shake Shack burger is going to turn your day around.
Yeah.
And she acts like, the cows are farting and destroying the atmosphere, and so are airplanes and all this stuff. And I'm like, you act like burgers and plane rides are a bad thing.
I know. Isn't it silly?
It really grieves the heart of God. My daughter, the one who, says that if you can't slaughter the animal yourself, you shouldn't eat it, unless you're willing to club the fish over the head and scale it.
Well, guess what? We did that this weekend, and it sounds like she wouldn't have liked that either. We did that live on the live stream with the barbecue. And
I'm glad
Steve's
she wasn't here at the service that had all the shrieking. She would have, had some kind of problem with
where was
hearing
she?
an animal scream. Well, she had been to the Saturday night services because she had to be at a farmer's market on Sunday morning where she has a welding stand. She's got a station at the farmer's market, a stall at the farmer's market.
I'm sorry, but farmers don't weld. How does she even get a stand?
I know. I'm like, a farmer's market is for organic things like lettuce and green onions. And
it's also annoying because you have to go to all these different things. I would rather just go to one place to get all of my food. And typically that doesn't involve going and talking to somebody about, what are these peaches and how old are they or whatever.
It's called a supermarket because it's super. It makes you feel super.
Yeah.
It's super that it has anything you need. Whatever it calls for in your recipe, whatever you're trying to, meal prep for your week with, like, it's all there. It's super.
Well, weekends coming up are going to be super here at Twin Hills because the harvest is coming in, even though it comes in all year round, and October is going to be absolutely lit.
We have extra services on the 31st of October.
Just to make sure you're not out trick-or-treating with your kids, we want to make sure to remind you that trick-or-treating isn't really positive. We do Harvest Festival here where they can go around. We have way better candy, way more candy. You don't have to dress up like a satanic puppet to do it. And you can actually dress up like your favorite Bible character, your favorite Age of Jesus, your favorite disciple, or your favorite pastor. And, a lot of people dress up like Steve, which is awesome.
Oh, you said pastor.
Yeah, your favorite pasta.
I thought you were saying you could dress up like pasta, which I would love to do because it's my favorite food.
No, Halle, not
I would
pasta.
love to be a bowl of fettuccine Alfredo, which they also have at Don Protini's, and it's pure protein.
Yeah, well, not your favorite pasta. Okay, folks, that was our episode. If you feel led, please join the Patreon, where our Patreon members can give us lots of suggestions for the next live stream. I'm Greg Hess playing Gray Haas, and that was Holly Laurent playing Halle Labont. And of course, do us a solid, leave a rating and review wherever you listen, or just pass along your favorite episode of Mega to a friend.